Hi everybody, this is Barbara Manconi Smith with Health in Progress. Some of you may also know me as the admin of the Facebook group Medical Medium Detox Support. I am so glad you're here. And I'm also very happy that I finally found the time to put together this webinar about everything medical medium to give the opportunity to those of you who are new to the group to learn a little bit more about what medical medium is all about, and for those of you who have read the books already to clear some possible confusion. So let's dive right into the medical medium's teachings and principles. There are two core principles that we need to learn. The first one is the body has a natural ability to heal itself. In fact, if given half a chance, the body will rid itself from any disease, including cancer, yes, including chronic diseases. In fact, have you ever noticed when you cut yourself that you don't really need to, besides scraping or washing the wound, to do anything? The body has a natural ability to rebuild tissues, and the same way it heals a wound, it's going to heal itself from the inside out. But we need to put the body in the position of doing so. The second core principle of the medical medium's teaching is that the body does not attack itself. And this is a really crucial point because the whole autoimmune discussion is based on the fact that the body, at some point, for different reasons, known or unknown, start attacking itself. It's like going haywire and doesn't recognize its own tissues and start attacking itself. Well, what Anthony says here is that that could not be further from the truth. The reality is the body is not attacking itself. It is attacking what it perceives as a foreign invader inside of its tissue. So when you start developing diseases, autoimmune diseases, like thyroid issues, for instance, Anthony says that the body is not attacking the thyroid, it's attacking a foreign invader inside of the thyroid. Today, we're witnessing an epidemic of chronic diseases, diseases that could be reversed but actually prevented. A lot of them are due to different factors, such as toxins that we're exposed to, pesticides that we eat through our food, a very malnourishing diet. It's called in America the SAD diet, the standard American diet. And also by the stress that we live with. We live in a constant state of chronic stress. And all these factors have an effect on our body and they weaken our immune system. What Anthony brings to the surface and to light is the fact that although all these stressors are weakening our system, there is something even deeper and more profound that is being wreaking havoc our systems for years. And these are viruses. The number one, the biggest offenders for Anthony is the EBV, also known as Epstein-Barr virus. You probably have heard it if you had, or if you've been diagnosed with the mononucleosis when you were younger. It's also called the kiss disease. And I know that you guys in Australia call it a glandular fever. So the EBV, it's part of the herpetic viruses family, and together with the HHV6, HHV7, the cytomegalovirus, the shingles, and the herpes zoster. So but Anthony says that the EBV is really the culprit and is at the base of most of our chronic diseases. Again, not alone, but it's the starting point. So here we're going to highlight the main difference or the big discovery that Anthony brings to the table versus what traditional medicine is telling us right now. Traditional medicine says that once we are infected with the virus, and we're all in agreement that this virus, the EBV, it's very common. So chances are, whether you be diagnosed or not, you have been exposed to the virus at some point in your life. Traditional medicine says that after the virus expresses himself with mono, for instance, then it goes back to a dormant state. In some people, doesn't even express ever. So people go around with the herpes or with the EBV and they will never know they have it. But what Anthony say through the spirit is that the virus that goes back to a dormant state, really, it's not really sleeping, but it's actually bury himself deeper into an organ like the liver, and it's multiplying itself. And this stage, which he refers to as stage 2, can take many years. So the virus multiplies, let's say, inside of the liver, and is going to cause issues because the liver is going to be more fatigued, or sometimes you can get your blood work back and you see that some liver enzymes are elevated, although you don't really know or you haven't experienced a specific infection. That is probably because the EBV is inside of your liver and it's multiplying, waiting for the right time to attack. What is in the liver is actually getting stronger. But by itself, it wouldn't be enough. So that's when we go back to the triggers that I mentioned at the beginning. So things like heavy metals are huge triggers and they do feed the virus. When they feed it, that means that they make it stronger. Toxic exposures like toxins, like pesticides, like mold, they all contribute to feed the virus and to make it stronger. And personal situations, like when we lose a person dear, when we go through a divorce, when we go to, when you have a child. So even emotional and hormonal imbalance are also triggers for the virus. So when this happened throughout the years, Anthony identifies as stage 3 when the virus migrates from the liver to the thyroid. And that is why a host, and because it takes years, that's why a host of people around their 40s start exhibiting problem with thyroid that the traditional medicine calls autoimmune diseases. And here is what I was trying to explain in the beginning. Traditional medicine says that the body goes haywire and starts attacking its own thyroid tissues. What Anthony says is that's not true. The EBV has migrated into the thyroid, hidden in the tissues, but the immune system, our immune system that is created perfectly, recognizes the virus and is trying to attack the virus within our thyroid. It's not attacking the thyroid, but that's what it looks like because some of our tests are not up to par to what's really going on inside of us. So what Anthony repeats over and over again, though, is please be aware that your body, you're not faulty. Your body is not attacking itself. It's attacking the virus within your thyroid in that case. And so it's actually doing a service to you. It's trying to protect you. The next phase for the virus, it's what Anthony identifies as stage 4, is when the virus migrates from the thyroid to it starts attacking the nervous system, giving life to diseases, chronic diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia, like brain fog, like memory loss, like tremors, twitches, and so on. So in a nutshell, this is the life cycle of the virus. Of course, there's more. There's complexity. For instance, when the virus is fed with heavy metals, it releases poisonous materials called neurotoxins. They are really poisonous for our systems. In the same way, when the virus cells die, they release a die-off biofilm that is also neurologically toxic for us. But what is important to understand is, although the EBV and the herpes virus family is at the base of what Anthony's teaching and at the base of the majority of our chronic diseases, usually it doesn't act alone, and it works in a combination to create disease. It works in a combination with what Anthony calls the unforgiving four. One of them being the viruses, but the second one being heavy metals, the toxic exposures, and the radiation. So let's take a look at the second one, the heavy metals. So heavy metals, we cannot escape them. We all live immersed in them. And what Anthony actually says is that even a child could test positive for a high level of heavy metals, although it's been living few months, because these unforgiving forces are passed on from generation in generation. So that's kind of the shocking truth if you think about it. But just let's take a look at what we are exposed to on a daily basis from a heavy metal perspective. And by heavy metals, I mean mercury, cadmium, nickel, aluminum in the beauty products that we use. Mercury we have it in our teeth, we have it in our food, in the fish. Our oceans are polluted. Not long ago we used to have it on our in our thermometers. Lead, it's in the paints, in the homes that we go and rent and live in. So really we can't escape it. And whether we test positive or not, heavy metals is really a key component of what Anthony is teaching. First of all, because they're really poisoning, and as I said, they do feed the virus, but also because we can't forget that we're all bio-individuals, and we all have different ways of excreting toxic materials and removing heavy metals. So although you and I may be exposed to the same heavy metals, we may have a different way of pulling it from our systems and removing it. And so some people have open pathways and other people are more clogged pathways. So that could also determine why some people get sick and others don't. The same way is with exposure to toxic material like mold, for instance. Mold is also a trigger for EBV, but not everybody's sensitive to mold because it depends on our own biological making. So some people, Anthony jokes about the fact that may be living in a moldy home and actually can put the mold in a sandwich and eat it and will not feel a thing, and other people are bedridden by just mold exposure. Another one of the unforgiving 4 is radiations. And I'm not just talking about nuclear radiations, although we're still paying the price of disaster like Fukushima in our oceans and environment. I'm talking about X-rays, imaging. Think about cell phones radiations. More and more studies are linking cell phones radiations and brain cancer. In France, for example, they have banned the use of Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi devices in school and nurseries. So although we may not be able to escape all the radiations in our environment, we can make small lifestyle changes that enable us to lessen the burden of radiations in our system. So remove all the electronic devices from your bedroom. Do not sleep with your cell phone under your pillow, or for men specifically, do not carry the cell phone in your pocket every day, all day. The last of the unforgiving 4 is actually pesticides and DDT. So although we're not exposed as much as we used to be to DDT, as Anthony says, it does pass on from generation to generation. So it's not uncommon for us to find inside our body and inside of our cells residues of DDT that was sprayed maybe at the time of our grandparents. But think about also all the pesticides that is in our food, and not just the food, in our water streams, in the water that we drink, the water that we bathe with. So obviously, Anthony advised to eat organic, and even better yet, if it's possible, to grow your own garden so you really know what you're feeding yourself. So the combination of these 4, 2 or more, it's what creates the pandemic of chronic diseases. Chronic diseases like cancer, for instance, that Anthony says is connected, is linked to EBV. And more, I will show you links at the bottom of this chat where you will see that the medical community is actually validating these findings. This information, though, is meant to empower you. It's meant to empower you because once you know the cause, then we can start doing something about it. And what can we do? Remember when at the beginning I told you that the 2 core principles of Anthony's teachings are that the body has the ability to heal itself and that the body doesn't attack itself. In fact, the body is actually after the EBV in our system, try to do a service to us and protect us. So in order to give the body the opportunity to heal itself and rid us from chronic diseases, we have to put the body in a position of doing so. So chronic diseases don't happen overnight, so there's a buildup of toxic material, the growth of the EBV and other type of viruses for years and years. So in order for the body to get rid of all this and bring the EBV to a dormant state, because really a lot of people ask me, so will I ever get rid of the virus? Most likely not. The virus will stay in the system, but like many other people, in a dormant state, doesn't exhibit any symptoms. That's what we want. So in order to do that, in order to bring our body in a strong position to get rid of this toxicity inside, we have to help him with nutrition. That's the great part of Anthony's teachings, is because it doesn't really tell you that you have to do anything abnormal. It's reframing the way you feed yourself to really nourish your body rather than nourish and feed the viruses. In my practice, what I always say is that every time we eat, we either feed disease or fight disease. It's every time, it's a fact, and it's always one of the two. So the goal is to really get to a mindful state where every time we eat, every time we have a craving, we are conscious about what that means, and we decide accordingly. So let's come to the nutrition part of Anthony's protocol. So for Anthony, the most powerful antioxidant and the most powerful food to heal are fruits and vegetables, raw. Why raw? fruit and vegetable raw because they are in the best bioavailable form and the strongest form to provide us things like phytonutrient that don't just nourish our body but actually actively fight. And there are specific food that he lists in his books that fight the EBV, that removes the toxic, the heavy metals, and lower the viral load in our system, which is the ultimate goal, to lower the viral load. So in his protocol, Anthony recommends to eat for at least, to start a detox of a cleanse of at least 28 days, where we only eat fruit and vegetables in their raw state. Now, depending on your symptoms, there are some fruit and vegetable that he recommends versus others, but the overall generic statement is eat for 28 days fruit and vegetables, and that will set you off on a good start to start lowering the viral load. But eating fruit and vegetables also is important for another reason. Because fruit and vegetables are very light on our system, particularly our liver and our lymphatic system, that is responsible to rid us from toxins, right? To flush out these toxins. So if we want to go from the outside in to help the body rid ourselves from toxins, we have to let the body take a rest. So eating meat, dairy, eggs, and things are really heavy to digest, not to mention eggs, for instance, feed the virus specifically, doesn't really leave the body enough space to then do the digestive work to digest these heavy proteins and fat, and then also go help us get rid of diseases and toxins and viruses. So what he's saying is, let's give the liver and the lymphatic system a rest, and let's just eat fruit and vegetables that are nourishing because we absorb right away, it's bioavailable, meaning immediately bioavailable, the glucose in the fruit and the vegetables that is important for our brain to function. And another thing that Anthony stresses in his books is there is a myth that, especially right now going on, a big fad, that fat is what feeds our brain. But Anthony says if you ever had brain, if you ever eaten brain, because there's a lot of cultures that do eat brain, lamb, cows, and whatnot, you will see and you will taste that it's really not a fatty type of element. If not, it's really very sweet. It's a combination of sweet and glucose and salt and mineral. So Anthony continues to say that we really need glucose to function properly and at our best. And the glucose, because it's immediately absorbed by the body and utilizes its energy, really release the liver and the lymphatic system from the hard work that otherwise they will have to do to digest things like protein and fat, or heavy, like meat protein particularly, and fat. So what are the no foods? Pork, meat, dairy, eggs that actually feed the virus, corn, soy, gluten, and wheat, farm fish because of the heavy metals, artificial flavors, natural flavors that hide MSG, alcohol, and citric acid. So citric acid is really tricky here because some people may think that is the same citric that is in citrus fruits, but it's really not. And it's a synthesized version of it that is hidden. So you might think that something is really healthy, but even in supplements, for instance, most of them hide citric acid because it is a preservative. So we should make sure that we read the labels and try to avoid as much as possible even the natural flavors that do hide MSG inside. So you heard me talking about jumping into the 28-day raw cleanse. What is this cleanse? So in order to give your body the best chance of fighting this virus and really reset itself, Anthony advised to get into a 28-day fully raw fruit and vegetables only type of diet. Now, this diet could be repeated for a few months. However, it's not necessarily a lifestyle. This is not a cleanse that you're supposed to drag on forever, but little by little you can reintroduce some of the foods. But what's really important is to make sure that you always, no matter what are the conditions, stay away from the no foods that we discussed before. So the bottom line of the 28-day raw cleanse is to eat as much as possible just fruit and vegetables in the raw state. But there are a few things that you need to do, especially in the morning, to make sure that you prime your body to really detox, to in the best possible scenario. So you start the morning with a big glass of water with warm water and lemon. And that's really important to cleanse the body from the night, what has been working really hard to detoxify and prime the body for the day. 30 minutes into it, you do 16 ounces of celery juice. And you can use a juicer, that would be the preferred method. But if you don't have it and you have a blender, you can actually blend the full stalk of the full bunch of celery, and then use a cheesecloth to drain the juice and drink it. 16 ounces, more or less. And then, of course, you can have a salad for lunch. You can get creative with the type of salads and the things that you can add. The basic line is that you need to try to avoid as much as possible fat and heavy protein. So for fat, what Anthony allows is a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil. Some olives are really good, but really not so much salt, because you really get a lot of salt and mineral from the celery juice. And you can have some gazpacho-like soups at night, for instance.
So let's talk now about some of the most powerful food that you should be adding to your diet, no matter whether you decide to go fully raw, fruit and vegetables, or try the 28-day protocol. These foods are sure to show immediate results if you add them to your diet. The number one is celery. Celery is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory food that you can possibly consume. Celery is able to fight viruses and bacteria and remove their toxins from the liver. Consuming celery is one of the most powerful ways to alkalize your gut. Number two, berries, specifically wild, in particular blueberries. They are full of antioxidants, fighters of free radicals. They also have a high amount of bioavailable phytochemicals that help you regenerate the body. Anthony says they also contain a hidden component that helps the body remove excess adrenaline from the body to make sure that it doesn't damage the organs. Another powerful food are bananas. They are the ultimate viral fighters. So they help in lowering the viral load. They also help with calm and tranquility. So they're really powerful to address anxiety and depression. They're also the ultimate fungus fighters because they feed the good bacteria and help remove the bad bacteria. So they're very well indicated for someone that is trying to treat candida overgrowth. They're also really good for your brain. So bananas sometimes have a bad rep due to the amount of sugar present in them. But please make no mistakes. The sugar that you find in the bananas, in the fruit and vegetables, is not the same sugar that you find in packaged food. So the sugar, the glucose present in the fruit and vegetables is actually immediately bioavailable and usable for the brain to actually function and restore the body. And it also comes attached with important vitamins and minerals that are essential for the proper functioning of the body. Another powerful food that you should be adding to your diet and not be afraid of are potatoes. The fact that potatoes are white in the inside, it doesn't mean they're anything close to the other bad white food like white rice and white bread. In fact, if you think about it, potatoes grow underground, and because of that, they draw from the earth important and highest amount of micro and trace minerals. Potatoes are brain food, so when you eat them, they make you feel grounded and centered. They're also very powerful antifungal and antiviral, and they are essential to aid in reversing GI diseases like Crohn's, ulcers, and colitis. Now, people ask me, and I see on the Facebook group, how do I get tested for EBV? Do I have EBV? So let's clear some confusions. 90% of the population has been exposed to the virus. Now, not everybody do exhibit symptoms. However, most of us do have the virus and we carry it in a dormant state. But looking at the epidemic of chronic diseases, most of us probably exhibit symptoms due to an underlying cause, an underlying viral cause. So the 4 weeks fully raw fruit and vegetables are really an opportunity to give your body a rest and try to start lowering the viral load. Because as the body is always busy digesting food that we eat on a daily basis, some better than other, it doesn't really have a lot of energy to spend in fighting the virus. So these 4 weeks really enable your body to reset and really start regenerating. It's truly regenerative and transformative. However, it is not that easy. It's easier said than done, right? depends on where you're coming from, depends on how sick you are, depends on what kind of diet you've been having. For some people, it is hard to just jump on a fully raw diet. Some people, some of my clients come from a paleo diet and a keto diet, and it's really hard because they've been eating a lot of meat and fat. And so jumping into fully raw fruit and vegetables could be off-putting, not to mention that 4 weeks is not 4 days. So there are so many chances to just stumble and give up. Obviously, the closer you stick to the protocol and the faster and the sooner you will start seeing results. However, we understand that not everybody is able to just jump right in, right? So in that sense, I want to clear some confusion. It is not one thing or the other. It is not that you continue the diet as you've been doing or you just jump on the 4 weeks. Also, a lot of people ask me about supplements. Supplements are important and they're also an essential part of the detox. But make no mistake, nutrition comes always first. So when I start the detox in my groups, I always tell people for the first week or two, I don't want you to be on any supplements because depending on where you're coming from, the fact that you change drastically your nutrition will have a huge impact on your body anyway. So other people ask me, well, I'm afraid because I'm reading a lot of detox symptoms and they don't sound really good, or I'm afraid of possible, heavy detoxifications. And I'm saying, don't be afraid, first of all. The point of the detox is really to be able to get in touch and in tune with yourself and understand how your body reacts and how your body speaks to you. So you can't be afraid of changing nutrition. You will see that just celery juice will do wonder for you. Of course, don't expect to cure MS just by drinking celery juice, but you will start noticing how your body changes and the cues that your body gives you because you feel really good after you drink it. You might need to get acquired to the taste, but after a while of juicing and giving a smoothie instead of a bagel or a croissant, you will see how your body start reacting. Let's talk briefly about supplements. A lot of you ask, Barbara, what supplement should I get for this or this other conditions, or are the supplements even necessary? Some of you experience serious neurological issues with some of the supplements. So let me just step back for a second. You don't have to have supplements to get into the detox. You don't. I also know that there is a financial commitment into buying all these pills and different supplements. So if you don't have the opportunity, just narrow it down to the few that are really essential, whether it's you're trying to fight the viral load, whether you're focusing on heavy metal detox. I always advise to do one of the two, not all together, not all at once, until you see how your body reacts. So if you feel that you have an activated EBV, you have the symptoms for it, then start with the EBV and try to lower your viral load with all the supplements that are supporting that, and then you add the heavy metal. So much fear when you guys talk about supplements as missing one supplement or having too little of one or too much of one is going to make it a whole different. That's not the case. So I want you to first focus on the food. Then start adding some and see how your body responds. Then start adding some of the supplements. Not all together, not 10 or 15 of them all at once. Just start little, because they each react differently with your body in the state that you are right now. And if you are in one or second phase of detox, they will act differently than if you added them in phase one. So start with the food, start adding some supplements and rotate them. Don't have always the same. So once you, beside the 4 weeks, past the 4 weeks, once you run out of some, just rotate them. The teas, for instance, are a good, gentle introduction to supplements. Instead of taking a tincture of lemon balm, just get the tea. The nettle, the dandelion, these are really beneficial. The burdock root, they are really good tea that you can sip at night, and they are really gentle and they kind of ease you into the supplementation part of the detox. So for some of the new members that just joined our group, they often send me private messages asking me, I have this disease, do you think I can heal? Is there any success story with thyroid, with MS, with cancer? And the answer to all of them is yes, you can heal yourself. I'm not going to heal you. Anthony's not going to heal you. You are able to heal yourself. And that is really at the bottom of all that we do. Empowering you to know that you can heal yourself. And this is nothing particularly spiritual or just out there. It's really physical as much as it is emotional. You can heal yourself, but there's so much that goes into it. The diet is just one part, and following a strict diet, it's important. But I always say to my clients, you can drink as much celery as you want, but if you don't solve the personal issues, the emotional traumas, the dramas in your life, it really is not going to make a big difference. So wanting to heal, it's really a 360 degrees kind of work that you have to be willing to put. There's no other way around. It's not easy. And it comes with a lot of setbacks, and it comes with a lot of ugliness, in a sense, that we have to face if we want to get better. It comes with a lot of cravings, and cravings not just because we're missing the chicken or we're missing the bread. Cravings are deeper than just the food. Cravings from a sense of security that we long for and that we put on the food, but in reality is really demons that we have to face and detox from. So this 4 weeks detox, it's so much physical as much as it is emotional, and you have to be willing to put the work. But now, I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be afraid of the work. I don't want you to be afraid of the detox symptoms. Some of you come to me asking me, I'm reading all these detox symptoms and it seems worse than when I was sick. And the reality is no, it is not worse than when you're sick. The fact that is, when people go through detox symptoms, and I have a lot of examples on a daily basis, they just live the moment. When you see people writing, most of the time they write in the group while they're experiencing a detox symptoms, and that is just a moment that you frame. It seems that that is all, but the reality is they don't write when they had 3 or 4 good days, and that's how you can expect the detox to go. You're gonna have some bad days, and you're gonna have some good days, and then it's gonna be another bad day. But the good days at the end are gonna be so much more than the bad days. And also, when you feel good on the detox, you feel really good, way better than before you started the detox. And yes, some symptoms. Some people experience skin rush. Some people experience some reactivation of, brain dizziness, fog, vertigo. Yes, it's all normal. It's all normal. You have to go through it. It's part of the detox. It's part of the shedding of the things that you no longer need. So the bottom line is, I don't want you to be afraid of the detox symptoms. I want you to know they are transitory, they will pass, and it's part of the process. But also, I need you to be aware there's an emotional component that goes into the detox that you have to be willing to face. And sometimes it's hard because you're alone. I understand that, I get it. Because your husband is not on board. Because the people around you at work, your friends, your kids, are looking at you like you're a nut person. And it's hard when you do not get the support. I'm very lucky. My husband has been with me from day one. We created Health in Progress together. We really strive every day to help as many people as possible to empower themselves to get on their journey to health. But not everybody is so lucky. So what do you have to do if your husband is not supportive? Is your husband is actually expecting you to cook the meat and the bacon and the eggs every morning? Well, there are things that you can put in place, but you do need a support system. So why is the support system needed? It might not be your husband, and that's okay. You cannot and you should not want to convince everybody. Some people, probably you must have read on the feed, on the Facebook group, they get mad because their husband is not on board, and they know that if he could only come on board, it could also get better. But you are on your own path right now. And remember how they say on the airplanes, should the need arise, first you put your oxygen mask, then you put it on your kids. You have to get better before you can try to help anybody else. So don't get mad if your husband, your mom, your kids don't want to be on board. It's your path, and don't distract yourself with always wanting to take care of everybody else so that you don't look at what you need for yourself. So this detox, it's 4 weeks that you take and commit for yourself only. Continue to make the eggs for your husband if that's what he needs, and keep going. But you try please to create a support system, because that is really an essential element of support, of success. So whether you join our guided detox, whether you find friends that are there to listen, and you speak to them and you tell them, listen, I'm going to go through some 4 probably heavy weeks ahead, and so I need you not to judge and to be there for me.
come to this Facebook group and write. You always have someone that answers, and that's really my joy, because when I created this group a few months ago, actually over a year ago now, it was really a group that was intended for few people who started the detox together and just wanted to be in contact and exchange information. We were 80 people at the beginning, and look at now, we're almost 5,000 people. And I'm so happy to see how everybody supporting each other. Support is essential. You are not going to be able to do 4 weeks without support. And again, it doesn't have to be our guided detox, although it's available, and we're starting on July 2nd. But you do need some support system, because we're all in this together, and it takes a village. Now, just to raise a child, it takes a village to want it to get better. And sometimes it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say that you can't do it all alone. And it's okay. And you know what? Your detox starts the moment you accept this. The moment that you accept that you cannot do it all, and you go out and reach out for help. So another questions that I receive all the time is, why do I need a guided detox? Yes, we offer a guided detox because the very same reason why I started this group is because after I read the books and I start talking to other practitioners, I realized that people read the books and they are kind of left on their own and there's so many doubts, and there's so many questions, and there's so many individual needs and situations. So I was concerned of people just reading the books and interpreting them and causing sometimes more harm than wellness. So the reason why we offer a guided detox is because we want to try to help as many people as possible to get on the right path to health. Working with us in the 4 weeks detox, it means that you get individual attention to your specific situation, and we are going to discuss how we can tweak the detox to fit your needs. As I said, we'll come from different walks of life. Some people are just ready to jump full in. Some people need some minor tweaks. Some people, for instance, live in down under. So right now it's summer here, but it's winter over there. So the situation is different, and you have to take into consideration all of these elements to make sure that you end up in a successful situation. So guided detox is because we want to help you individually succeed, but also because the detox provide the group, that support system that I was mentioning to you about, that it may or may not be available to you at this time. So by relying on the power of the group, of other people going through the same things that you're going through, really makes a huge difference. At the beginning, I always have to kind of convince people to show up to our live sessions, because life gets in the middle, and we're all busy. But I promise you, these live sessions in our guided detox are fundamental. Ask to the people, hopefully they're going to comment here, that are signing up actually 2 or 3 times to our guided detox, because mostly, I would like to think that it's because of me, but mostly because they really find helpful the intimate live sessions that we host every week. So it's important to have the detox, to have the support system. It's important to be prepared to make changes to your life physically and emotionally, and it's important to be committed, because the detox is not going to work until you're fully committed. Because if you start a detox but then thinking that you're going to cheat on the weekend, you're really cheating yourself before you even start. So I don't know how many of you have read my stories. I don't particularly like to talk about myself or to be on camera. Really, I don't like it. I like to be behind usually. But I understand the need of really be honest and open with you guys, because I created this space that turned out to be an amazing space. It's a safe space where everybody's sharing, and I think it's fair for me to just present myself, show up, and share my stories. So was I sick? Yes. Am I completely healed? No. Because I call my company Health in Progress, because health is a journey, it's not a destination, right? So yes, I was sick. I actually worked myself sick, and I burned myself out. So at the age of 35, I was completely depleted with chronic fatigue, dizziness, vertigos, and completely depleted. I had no hormones left. And that was the time where I thought, maybe this is a good time to have babies. And my doctor said, you got nothing left. I was 35. And I've been plagued with vertigo and dizziness for many years, 11 to be precise, and nobody could really find an answer. So it was so bad that I would be in the middle of the meetings and not really understand or remember what I had to say. Or at times, everything was spinning and I couldn't really just leave my room, and I had to be in the dark. it was really hard, to the point that after 10 years, I said, well, this is how it's going to be in my life. I had regular flares throughout the year. Sometimes it was twice a year, sometimes it was more. And then the last couple of years, it was like for 6 months in a row. It was horrible until I got on the protocol, and I really, really rid myself from a lot of toxins. But it wasn't just the toxins, and in my case, it's a lot of mercury, but it is also the willingness to get better, the willingness to be conscious and mindful of my eating habits, of my emotions, or my ways of trying to find comfort and put things in place. If anything, what I would like for you to take away from this little webinar is that you need to really get in tune with yourself. And you can't do that if you're polluted with all sorts of toxins and food that doesn't really nourish you. You need to be clean. And the cleaner you are, the more you're able to listen to your body, to the cues. So that now I'm able to prevent myself from getting to the point where everything is spinning, because I know what triggers it. Even my behavior, not just the food, but what triggers it. So if stress is a trigger for most of you, then you know how to avoid that. And that is what the detox, the guided detox, teaches you. It's being able to shed what you don't need anymore, and be calm, show up to the group and to the live sessions naked, honest as you are. That makes a huge difference. And that is what is going to empower you to keep going behind the 4 weeks and live a conscious life. So that you know that if you end up having a drink, I mean, let's not demonize it, you know what you have to do to make sure that that drink doesn't stir a whole host of behaviors that will just harm you and bring you back to where you started. I want to empower you to not need any practitioner, to be your own self-healer, so that you can heal yourself and possibly the people around you. So if you feel the need for that support system that we were talking about, I invite you to join our guided detox coming up on July 2nd. You're going to find all the information here, and you can register as well. What you're going to get with this detox is recipes, daily emails, and you're going to get supplementation information as well, of course. But most importantly, you're going to join an intimate group of people that are going through the same struggles as you are. And I'm telling you, I cannot stress enough the importance of the group. It's really what makes a huge difference, especially in shedding all the emotional burdens that we were talking about. And if you register today, you're also going to get for free 40 minutes health assessment with me, where we can go over your specific situations, your supplements, your symptoms, and really tweak the detox to fit your needs. So I really hope to have you in our upcoming detox. If not, it's okay. Please continue to join and participate to our Facebook group, because your participation helps so many other people, and really this is what's all about. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon sometime on our Facebook Live.